welcome Mr. Kumar Gaurav on this YouTube channel. And your guidance will actually help a lot of people around, not just young graduates, but I really wish professionals as well because you are at such a senior level in the organization. So definitely you have earned a lot of years of experience with not just qualification, but real life experience as well. So I really wanted you to briefly introduce yourself first, that people can actually relate, themselves with you. Yeah,
Hi, Manshu. Great to connect, and thanks for the
definitely.
opportunity. So, a brief background about me. So, I am an Indian Army veteran. I served 14 and a half years in the Indian Army. Then I took premature retirement, and thereafter I did 1 year MBA PGPX from IIM Ahmedabad. From there, I got selected and on campus at Edelweiss Tokyo Life Insurance. So, for the last 6.5 years, I am working at Edelweiss Tokyo Life Insurance, and I'm handling financial risk and fraud detection there. And regarding my past background, so I'm born and brought up in Jamshedpur. Dad was in Tata Motors. And after my 12th, I joined National Defense Academy. So thereafter, 4 years of training and almost 14, 15 years of service. And I took premature retirement on medical grounds. And then I always had interest in financial markets and business. So I chose the profession in financial services industry, and obviously to get into financial services industry, so I did MBA obviously, and in addition I did the CFA as well as FRM. So that helped me. So rather, I will say that helped me create a knowledge base based on which I could build my career. So because initially, obviously, you are coming from a totally different field, so it takes time to understand the basics and the fundamentals and how things work. And these courses give you the foundation on which you can build a career.
Definitely, definitely. And first of all, congratulations for being vice president of, and head of financial risk and fraud detection. Just, I think 2 months back,
Yeah,
you
thanks a lot. Thank you.
yeah, yeah,
Thanks a lot.
yeah. And actually, I'm not, I was trying to prepare some of the questions around, and let me, this is my own, telling what I was doing in background. Usually, I send number of questions that on which or topics on which we are going to talk about on a video chat. But in your case, when I was preparing question, I was actually scratching my head and I was like, okay, he this man has number of year experience. He's at a senior level. Why I would decide, what needs to be asked, because your experience will tell everything. So I was having difficulties in preparing those questions. I was like, okay, I'm not going to prepare any question. I'm directly gonna jump, and you're going to speak. Actually, I'm going to learn with a lot of people around when I will upload on the YouTube. That was the case. That's why I
Great.
didn't prepare number of questions around. Yeah. So
Correct.
yes,
It suits me. Suits me. There is no structure, so we can flow. Go with the flow.
we can go with the flow. I was actually scratching my head. So yes, in terms of, as you said, you served into the services for the last 14 years, and after you decided, what was the motivation of that? Getting into the financial services. You can choose, other as well. Like, so what was your motivation? That you wanted to choose this only.
Yeah, so I had interest in the field of business and finance. I had interest in financial markets, so I've been investing in mutual funds, stocks as well. So that got me interested. So I watched business channels, I read Economic Times, Business Standard, all of that. So plus,
Okay.
I watched RBI policy meets and everything on CNBC. So I got intrigued by the subject. So I did actually, while in the army itself, I did MA in economics from IGNO, so through distant learning. So that also gave me a good foundation. And obviously, as you say, na, if your passion becomes profession, it is much easier. So since I was always doing all of this outside of my work, so if that became
Yeah.
my work, life became much easier. So the whole day I do follow financial markets and finance and economics only. So that is my job now. So and even during weekends and off time, I'm doing the same thing. So there's no difference
Even till
between work
now,
life and personal
okay,
life,
even
even
you.
till now.
That's even
Yeah. So
great.
work doesn't seem like work. You know what you're doing and you understand what you're doing. So it helps, and that is why one is, and that is what I would advise everybody. So aim for excellence. If you become good in something, and if you're actually passionate about, then only you will become good. So if all of us want to become good, but then we don't want to put in the effort, or we don't have the passion to pursue Like you would have heard, you need 10,000 hours. You need to put in 10,000 hours to become an expert in anything. So unless you're willing to give that time, it's not going to happen. And you will not give that time if you're not passionate about it. So if you take it as a job, it's not going to happen. If you are actually passionate about it and you actually want to become a good investor or a good risk manager or a good financial market expert, then you have to spend that time, understand all the intricacies, what works, what doesn't. So all of
I
that is
understand.
required. So everybody should strive for that excellence and be willing to put in that time and effort,
Definitely.
obviously.
Definitely, I have seen people, taking even studies as a job. Okay, if I am going to study for just 5 hours, okay, when 5 hours knocks, okay, I'm going to close the books. It's not about 5 hours. It's about whether you have learned, something from that 5 hours or not. If not, you have to keep extending that time, for more hours because you have not understood that thing.
Exactly whether it takes 5 or it takes 50, aim is to learn.
Definitely,
So
the
so
aim is
like
to learn.
what is the difference between a government job and a private job? If you think 9 to 5 is the job, you're not going to do any excellent work out there. You will get will
Definitely.
at 4:30 you will be looking at time to go. So, but if you're passionate about it, you will not care whether it is day or night. So it's like scientists or professors who are into research. They don't care it's day, night, whatever, weekday, weekend. It doesn't matter. So if you're
Even this
passionate about
thing,
what you are doing,
yeah, even this thing I've learned from US clients, with whom even I am working, and they are like they don't think about even hours. They just keep on working. Okay, it's not 9, it's 9:30, it's not 10, it's 10:30. Okay, they are just passionate about their work. But when it comes to, I think, some around Indian culture, but people are still taking job as a job. Okay, 9 to 5 and then closed. So I think
so
that
that is
that's
a,
the somehow difference.
you have to decide whether you are looking for a job or you're looking for a career. So,
Yeah,
and to make a career, as I told you, require 10,000 hours to give to that field and become an expert in that field. So, and it is like three idiots you would have heard. You have to chase expertise and excellence. So,
yeah.
success will follow.
Definitely. And what was the motivation of getting into the MBA? Well, like you were already, having a lot of experience around. You can directly jump into some of the financial services,
Yeah,
but
so
you
it
did.
becomes easier. So, to answer it simply, it becomes as you told, like many people had done CFA, FRM, and still struggle to get a interview or get a job. So, MBA campus hiring is one good way to enter corporate sector. So that is was the prime reason actually and motivation. Second was obviously, as I told, expertise. So since I was from the services background, limited business understanding and knowledge, so that
For the
you
okay,
solidify
okay,
it in a good business school setup where you interact with all the domain specialists and the profs, and you get to know how entire business works. So that, as I said, the foundation is needed to build a career. One can
got it.
learn reading books also, but reading books is not sufficient beyond a point. You have to meet the practitioners, practice it actually for some time, interact with the people who are have been in that field and expert. Like you can't be, so as I told, if you want to become expert, you have to spend 10,000 hours. So that means you can't become expert in everything. You
Got
have
it.
to interact with others and learn and how what your expertise is fits in the overall framework of things. So that requires understanding of the entire structure, and business school is a good way to get that structure. Again,
Got
it's
it.
not a one-stop solution, but then it's a good foundation on which to build on.
Definitely. And I seriously wanted you to share your experience with the that CAT preparation, GDPI. How was all these
Yeah, so since I did 1 year MBA, so they require GMAT. So I have actually appeared for CAT as well. So just
Okay.
for since I was preparing for GMAT, I did give CAT. So CAT is slightly more tougher in the sense of slightly the verbal is slightly tougher. The English requires a bit more effort. GMAT is pretty easy in that sense. Maths is also easy. So basically, if you're good in basic maths and English, so GMAT doesn't take much effort. But yes, again, it requires practice because it's a time test, and
Yeah.
you have to be accurate in that specific time. The questions are 10th level arithmetic, even below 10th, 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade arithmetic. But the point is, you have to be fast enough, and that requires practice. And
Definitely.
same thing, what works, you have to keep minimizing the errors. What happens, given time, most people will answer those questions. But it's that within the time constraint which you have to learn to answer. That again
Yeah.
requires practice. The same way, whatever it takes. So, like earlier, reading comprehension used to take one passage, used to take me 30 minutes to get the answers right. And then
Right.
slowly I brought it down to 25 minutes, 20 minutes, 15 minutes. By the time GMAT came, I could read a passage and answer question in 10, 12 minutes, which is required for the exam. So that is
Got
how you
it.
have to build your speed and
Got
accuracy.
it.
And first focus on accuracy and then on speed. The first 2, 3 months focus on building accuracy so that if given time you are able to answer all questions correctly. And then keep
Definitely.
building speed by practicing more test papers, more practice, and plus keeping track of your wrong answers. Learn them why you got that answer wrong. So one thing in multiple choice questions in all these exams, CAT, GMAT is if you are looking at the answer and trying to find which one is the right one, you will never get it. You have to read the
Okay.
question, you have to know ki what could be the answer and then look for that answer in the choices.
Got
Otherwise, if
it.
you're just reading all the five options 5 times to figure out which one is the right one, you will not get it. So that
Definitely.
again requires skill. So many people like it doesn't require knowledge. Like GMAT is a very basic maths and English test. But point is many people are not able to score well because they don't follow this process. They don't minimize their errors. They don't practice hard. As I told you, you have to give it time. However good you are, you have to give time to it. You can say it is a fourth grade math. I'm very good. I'm BTech, MTech, whatever. But it doesn't matter. You need to do that practice.
Definitely. It can be done by from any field, like even for commerce or science or other people as well.
Yes, yes, yes. It's
It's
basic
a,
maths
it's
and
a,
English. So that is why the test
yeah,
has been designed such that people from humanities, any background can get into business schools. So that test
definitely.
is basic test of your application aptitude test. It's not knowledge test. It's not
Not
an
knowledge
IS
test.
exam.
Yeah.
IS exam is a knowledge test. How many books you can read and master over time, history, economics, whatever. So this is
Yeah.
not so. This is basic maths and English because in business two things work. It's a numbers business and it's about communication.
Yeah.
So both you have to be good at both. You have to be able to communicate well and you have to understand the numbers well. Because finally business is about making profits. It's bottom line.
Definitely. You have to keep generating profit for the organization where you are working, and you will be end up
Yes.
working as an entrepreneur. Yeah. And
Yeah,
definitely, I
then you
want
can make money for yourself. Yeah.
make money for yourself. Definitely, there is no limit. There is no upper limit. As soon as you started working as an entrepreneur into the organization, definitely. And I seriously wanted to ask, what was your life experience at IIM Ahmedabad? Because in my office, even I have seen number of seniors sharing their life experience. I seriously wanted to hear your life experience at the IIM Ahmedabad. Yeah,
So it is one of the great years spent. So actually, so I have been to the best of the institutes, and National Defense
yeah,
Academy is another one, premier institute. So, but they provide a different kind of experience. It's called Cradle of Leadership, where they build leaders
yeah,
out of young men. And similarly, they create business leaders. So from a leader to a business leader, that was the transition which I needed, and that helped. And it is the environment. So the point is, those books you can read at your home as well without going to IIM Ahmedabad. But the kind of profs you get there, the kind of interaction you have in the class, the
networking.
kind of
Yeah,
pedigree there is, and networking you get, and the kind of, as I told, experts from different fields. Like you
yeah,
think you have read the case and you have mastered it, but then when you hear the other side, and when you hear the professor side, because he taught that case so many times, he knows ins and out of that case. We study 2, 3 hours to prepare for the case and try to figure out, okay, what is going on. So that kind of experience, every day you going back, reading the case, and preparing your assignment submissions, and then next day coming to the class, having the discussion. So whatever you thought one day prior totally changes by the time that discussion happens. So it's a great learning experience, and yeah, obviously you when you go to such places you get humbled. So all of us go there thinking very high GMAT score, very good in studies, topper in school and all of that, but once you get there you realize
nothing works.
there are many more guys and girls better than you. So it is a humbling
Yeah,
experience. You get to
nothing
know
is
how your
working there.
inadequacies. Yeah, you get to know your inadequacies. So and that is the challenging environment that the top business school provides, and you get that uh, understanding and expertise which is needed to become a business leader, because you have to understand the business context to take correct business decisions in a timely manner. So that is what
Yeah,
it builds. So day in and day out you are working on that, and over a period of say 1 year you get that sense how to look at a business problem and how to solve it. And obviously you get a 360-degree view of a business, from right from finance to economics to operations to HR
yeah,
to
definitely.
logistics, supply chain, anything. So you get a 360 view of entire business landscape.
Definitely. And seriously, I really wanted to ask about you have completed FRM CFA, which is the I think toughest certification in the finance field. And I really wanted to ask like how you actually prepared for FRM CFA. You completed 2019 and CFA in 2020. So how you done these certification like from self study from or doing what was your strategy of doing all both these
So self-study.
certification?
So they provide good books. Basically, you have to learn them. It's as simple as that. And as I told
Okay,
you, have to give
you study
time.
from institute book.
Ah,
Oh,
books. Yes,
definitely.
textbook. Basic
Most
textbook.
of the
Basic
people
textbook.
don't study actually from institute into
So
institute
FRM, I
books.
will tell you,
Yeah.
FRM I read Swagger. So FRM I read
Yeah.
the guide. I did, but there also I read the book as well. So the
Okay. Okay.
basic book I definitely read, and obviously Swagger was a easier way because FRM I had less time. So I squeezed FRM exams between my CFA exam. So in May June I used to appear for CFA exam. In November December I gave FRM both times. So between the level two and level
Okay.
three I did FRM. So that way FRM I had time it was less. Otherwise I would have read the basic books only. But then since time was less, I focused more on the guides. CFA I have totally read totally the textbook they provide, nothing else. No guides, nothing. And it's sufficient, more than sufficient. Only thing is, yes, it takes time and they tell 3,000 hours and you have to put in those 3,000 hours. If you do it, you will pass. And obviously, I
Definitely.
failed twice. So in level two, I failed twice actually. So I gave level two three times. But thankfully, that grounding helped me. I passed level three in my first attempt. So obviously, because I'm coming from a different background, it's tough. Fixed income, interest rate, derivatives,
Yeah.
quant, it's not easy because one has not done it for years. So I read them long back, 15, 20 years
No,
back, and it was
it's
tough to
actually
master it. Yeah.
it's actually tough. I mean, I'm from the same background. It's actually very tough fixed income
Yeah,
and
yeah. So initially,
option
people feel
modeling
कि
and
हो
all.
जाएगा.
Yeah.
It's not easy. Yeah, you have. It takes time to get. And the derivatives, even today, one finds it intriguing. It takes a lot of time to get the grasp it well. So it takes time and
Definitely.
effort. Yeah.
Definitely, definitely. And now I seriously wanted you to ask, like, you have done number of certification. What actually works when you are into the organization? What actually works when you are actually working on different projects? Except these certification, okay, these are helping you to get an opportunity somehow. Once you are at the opportunity, what actually works into the real life environment? I really don't think this is my own experience. These kind of certification works when you are actually working on projects. Something else is needed, which you need to have. Yeah,
So as is told in theory, there is very little difference between theory and practice, but in practice there is. So
yeah,
mm, converting from theory to practice is an art in itself that one needs to learn. Theory gives you a foundation, a framework to work on,
foundation,
but then
definitely.
how you use that knowledge to solve business problems and investment or risk problems, how do you understand the actual risk, when it is increasing, when it is decreasing. So the deeper you go into the subject, so one thing is required is understanding risk. So like I am in the risk
Definitely,
management field, so understanding risk is critical. So like even for to become a good investment professional, you need to understand risk because otherwise you will blow up your account or you will lose a lot of money, clients' money. So what is the understanding of this? Many people do not understand this. When the risk is rising, when the risk has risen, when it is euphoria and when it is not, when it is pessimism, when it is optimism. So it's understanding of, so one is understanding of markets, financial products, and how they behave, mass psychology, and everything. And second
yeah,
is how do you use that to take business decisions? So should you add to your equity portfolio? Should you subtract? Should you add to your derivatives portfolio or should you subtract? Should you hedge? Should you not hedge? How much should you hedge? What kind of hedge you should take? So all those theoretical knowledge is required. But then when you are solving a business problem, you have multiple options. You have to have a framework to bring the whole thing down to few options. So you have to basically generate options using that knowledge. And then you have to discuss with all stakeholders and come to a reasonable solution where the risk and return expectation both get managed and both your business requirement as well as your risk assessment, all that has to be in sync because in the pursuit of meeting your business objective, you can't take too much risk. So the right
definitely,
balance between risk and return and business opportunity and risk that has to be found, and that requires, as I told, good understanding of risk, then how to create a good framework to make a decision. So like otherwise it becomes subjective. I feel market will go up, I will market will go down, I feel let's do it, I feel that doesn't work. You have to have a sound framework which works in good times and in bad times. Markets are dynamic, they change every day. and you can't have a rigid view. So you should have a framework which guides you in taking decisions. So creating that framework in itself is a task, and you interact with all stakeholders. You take a business perspective, finance perspective, actually
Yeah.
perspective, investment perspective. So you have to interact with all the right stakeholders, take a considered view, and come to conclusions. And there, what is required is your collaboration skills, your communication skills, your ability to convince others, your
Definitely.
ability to understand the nuances. You may think I know, but there may be nuances which you don't know, which the practitioners know better than you. So
Yeah.
those to and fro movements, interactions, open to ideas, willing to explore, going deep, understanding the problem at its core, and then coming up with multiple options and solutions, and then deciding on the final solution. So it's a total. It includes project management skills, it includes your stakeholder management, communication
Definitely.
skills, negotiation skills, because sometimes you have to give in, sometimes you have to
Yeah.
stand your ground as well, because otherwise if everything you say yes, that is also, then you are also not doing your job, and
Yes.
every say you no, then business can't function. So you have to find that right balance, and that comes with practice. And obviously the more you interact with people, the more understanding you develop. So that is why expertise matters. So if you are not an expert, you will not be able to get to that point. You will just take one view, pick up one line from the textbook and follow it. Okay, this is what it is.
Yeah.
So that it requires a constant journey, and with that is like communication skills, negotiation skills, collaboration, leadership. Obviously, you have to manage a team, so that leadership skills count. Plus your ability as a leader to stand your ground when needed, because you have to take hard decisions, and some of them will
Yeah.
impinge on the business situation or the investment decision. So you have to have that courage and of conviction and the ability to convince others that why you are saying what you are saying. So it requires a lot of effort and to build your personal ability to convince others and to listen and understand and broaden your horizons. The more you know, the better decisions you take.
Definitely, definitely. It's going to be great learning even for me actually. And I think the best part is the you have to collaborate and you have to, and the another thing is always you can't say yes, always you can't say no. That's the point.
Yeah,
That
you have to
actually
achieve that
happens.
right balance. You have to achieve that
You have
right
to
balance,
definitely, and that's
and you have to
actually
build that credibility. So that is there
yeah.
is also many smart people fail in their jobs is
Yeah,
because they are not able to build that capability. So when you say something, people should take note. Yes, it's coming from some point of view or some conviction. It should be data driven, backed by facts and logic. So you can't be I
definitely.
feel. That cannot be an approach, or you can't
Yeah.
be seen to be rigid. So both do not work. If
Yes,
this
you
guy
have to
doesn't
be
listen, he comes
flexible.
to the
Yeah.
meeting with a preconceived point of view and he doesn't listen to others' point of view. So that cannot happen. So you have to be flexible, you have to adapt to the situation, and you have to understand the situation. Because if you understand the situation, you understand others' point of view, and then you use your
Yeah.
knowledge and understanding to find options. Because okay, one option you may say is not workable, but the other two
Yeah.
options may be workable with some certain tweaks, and you have to open to that, and you have to make those options much more viable.
Definitely, definitely. And I seriously wanted to ask you, like, you must have interviewed a lot of people in your own life, right? So I actually wanted to ask what actually you see, or what actually when some when a firm is hiring, they see in a candidate. Okay, okay, knowledge is there, but this is what actually we always wanted from a candidate, and they are actually most of the candidates are actually missing that in them. So what's that?
One is whatever you write in your CV, you should know it in and out. Don't try to brag. Don't try to prove you are great, because in 5 minutes people find it out. So you have to know what you have written. It should be like uh, at the back of your mind. So if I ask you any question about what you have written, what numbers you have written, I improved this by 5%, 10%, 15%, you should back it up. What you
Yeah,
actually did, which made that difference. You are taking credit for that 15%, what you did, because people are interested in knowing that. Because when you are looking for hiring a person, you are looking whether that person can do this job. So how they come to that conclusion is how you have done in your previous job, what value add you have
yeah,
done. So finally, especially at senior level, it matter a lot. At a junior level, it's more about your technical knowledge, because it's more about execution work. Because
yeah,
as long as you can execute, it's good. But yes, as you grow senior, you want senior roles. You have to have that ability to convey what you what value add you did which led to that success or even failures, and what you learned out of it, and what have you done to improve on it, and how you'll ensure it doesn't happen here. So
Yeah.
those kind of things. So one is you have to know your CV throughout. You write what you have done. Don't try to brag. If there are no numbers, please don't put numbers. Just say, "Okay,
Yeah.
I did this and that," then it
That
this
will be
happened.
more
So you don't have
beneficial.
to take
Yeah.
credit for it. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And if it is a teamwork, say it's a teamwork and it's not your. It's not your idea. Don't take you gave that
Yeah.
idea.
Definitely.
Because what happens when you discuss the project in detail, people will come to know and people will ask you questions. Second is
Yeah.
you have to know about the company and you have to be genuinely interested in the role. You have to know inside the
Definitely.
outs of the company and the role. Because if I ask you what you will be doing the whole day and what's your career plan for next 3, 5, 10 years, if you have no clue, you are just looking for a job with a higher salary, it's not going to work.
Definitely.
So
Definitely.
you have to prove that you actually you are the right fit, and this will be one of the steps in your career, in your growth journey.
Yeah.
Because companies are also looking at people who are going to stick around and add value. They're not looking
Yeah.
to hire and fire every 2 years. So what they're looking for, people who can stay and build a career. So both sides. So we are looking for a good fit, and same way the candidate should be able to convey, yes, I am the right fit. I have the right set of knowledge and skill sets. Few of the skill set, even though I don't have, I am willing to learn and pick up. And this is the next step in my career journey, and this is how I will make a career path. And many of the time, people are not clear on that, so they are basically looking for
Definitely.
a job with a higher salary or an entry into a
And
field
keep
in which
moving.
they don't
Keep
have
moving.
experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, exactly. So they're not looking at career, as I told you initially about. If you're
They are
focused
looking
on
at
your
pay
job, you're
package.
not going
Yeah.
to make a good career. Stay focused on your career will do well. And compounding in life is a journey, so it takes time. So if you think you get a job
Definitely.
every 2 years, you will get a 30, 50, 100% hike and you keep doubling your salary, it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Once you build the capability, it will happen. So but you have to get to that point and you have to build that base, and thereafter it will be a j curve and you will rise exponentially. So that patience, conviction, and that effort needs to be there, and it needs to be seen in your interview, in your body language, in the knowledge you display, and the ability to uh, convey what you thought. As I told, people are interested in what you did rather than what the organization achieved.
Yeah.
Your contribution and how you did it. So they want to know you more. So be prepared. You should know yourself inside out, and you should be able to convey and give that confidence to the recruiter. Ki, yes, you know the subject you are talking about, and you have done some amazing things there, and you can add value to the team you are wanting to join.
Definitely, definitely. It's not just about writing that you have worked on this project and you have no idea in which organization you're giving interview is the I think thing people actually miss. I have seen number of
People
people
do not do research on roles. They have no
yes,
clue what the
definitely.
role
Not
is
not
about.
even about the
Yeah.
firm, where you're
Yes.
entering actually. They just know, okay, this is the name where we are going to appear for the interview. And in the interview, the interviewer actually asks, do you know about XYZ organization? What it works on, what's the background or anything? No, they have no clue.
So
This
two
actually
questions
happens.
which kill two questions which kill any person in an interview is one, what do you know about us? They are mostly
Yes,
blank. They're not able to
blank.
answer.
Yes, definitely.
And second is why should we hire you? These are the two questions people are not prepared at all.
And
They think
these
if
are the
people, they need a
definitely
person
questions.
and I have applied, that's why I should get the job. It is not like that. You have to convince the
Yes,
recruiter that you are the right fit for the role and you have done XYZ and you want to do ABC and this is the right mix of XYZ and ABC and that is why you want to do it. And this XYZ plus ABC will take you to say wherever you want to be. That is how you build a
definitely.
story. Like in most MBA school, they ask you why MBA, why now, why whichever institute you
Yeah,
are
in the
applying
in the
to. You
PI,
have to
in
be
the
very
PI,
clear.
in the PI,
Yeah.
there are a number of questions
Yeah.
that actually they ask. And PI, I think
Even in essays, the essay you submit for the application, you have to write all this. Why MBA? Why now? Why this institute and all of that. And that is what the expectation is. That you do some research. You don't just say, ki, okay, uh, IIM is a great institute I want to join, or ISB is a great institute I want to join, or Oxford or Harvard is a great institute I want to join.
yeah, these
That
comes
should
in
not be
top
the way you
20.
tackle it.
These
Yeah.
comes in the top 20.
Yeah.
That's why I wanted to know why these are in top 20.
Yeah.
That you should know.
Exactly.
That
Yeah, and
that
how you will add value to that top 20? They are top 20
yes,
because of the kind of people they recruit and the
people are
kind
the
of professor
recruit. Yeah,
they have. So, about how you fit into that culture and why do you think you will add value to the class? As I told, it's a
definitely,
humbling experience joining a B school, a top school where you have the best of profs and best of the students there. So it's a humbling experience. So you have to demonstrate how you will add value to that class. Like the way I told you, I got to learn from others. People should have expectation that you will add value to the discussions and the activities there.
definitely, definitely. And people are actually don't work on these type of skills. Where they need to do quite research where they are applying. They need to work upon their own. They have to set their own goal and see that then okay, this is where I wanted to go. This is what I wanted to achieve in another 10 years. People actually don't work on these. They just this I have seen a number of interviews where my colleagues or my even friends keep on giving interview. More, I'm not saying everyone, but most of them are just focus on that 30, 35, 40, 50% hike. But that's not the actual age. It should not be actual agenda of getting into any interview. The agenda should be learning. The
So the
agenda should
problem
be
is now people don't realize if you are good, people will give you that hike. You don't have to ask for it. They will give
definitely
you the hike
doing
if you want once
even
you
more
are
than that.
found good.
Yeah.
Yeah, even though you can ask for any hike as long as you're good, because
Even
they
they are
will
able to
reject
they are able to
candidates. Yes,
yeah, defeat their budget. They're fine with going over
yes,
budget, but you
yes,
have to prove yourself.
exactly. First, always focus on first proving that you are the right fit. Thereafter, you can negotiate whatever it is. Now, I'm not saying do I join at a lower rise or
Definitely,
lower
yeah, yeah,
lower your expectation. There's no need for that. But then, as they say, you have to command and not demand. So you have to first prove that you deserve it. You will
definitely,
not get more
definitely,
than what you deserve. It's as simple as that. Corporate people who hire, they are not fools. They have been in the business for long. They know what works and what doesn't, and who has caliber and who doesn't. So you will not get more than what is due to you. And obviously, that is why your expectation should not be that high. Just because your neighbor got 50% hike, you should get it, or your other colleague got it. That is not how it works. You have to
yeah,
prove that you are ready for the role, and if that role is of that stature, you will get the hike or the designation or whatever you are expecting. And but
definitely,
first prove your worth. You can always negotiate hard thereafter once you've proven your worth. Because the company will also look at, okay, this candidate is better than others, okay, let's give him the hike he wants.
yeah. And I seriously wanted to ask you, like, what, as per you, in the layman's language, that whoever so was watching this video can understand, what is risk management? People can understand if they're looking for, okay, I wanted to go into the risk, I need to do FRM, but they're still not aware what is actually risk management. Yeah.
Okay, so first thing first, people don't know what is risk. So first you
Yes.
need to understand what is risk. So one good definition of risk which I remember is risk means more things can happen than will happen. So it's I think by Elroy Dempson, he's the LBS professor. He has written this line, and it is also in I think the book by Bernstein. So it's about risk. So what is risk is basically when we say we invest say 100 rupee, our expectation will get 10% return.
Yeah.
So risk means more things can happen that will happen. Means it's not that necessary that you will get 10%. The return could be 5%, could be 15%, it could be minus 5%. We are talking
Yeah.
non-fixed income, of course. Fixed
Yeah.
income, know the returns. But there are also variabilities there, but we'll leave it aside. So the point
Yeah.
is many things can happen and you don't know which will happen. And that
Yeah.
is where risk arises. So you have an objective in mind, and there is no straight line to that objective. In Excel, it is very easy to extrapolate, but when in real life, you may or may not get there. And
Yeah.
that is
True.
what risk is about. And the journey, the managing that journey till you reach that objective is risk management. Because whenever you deviate, you should know how to get back to what your objective is. So any thing which can derail the achievement of your objective. So if you want 10% return, anything which can derail, say, huge inflation, war, global crash,
Yeah.
something can derail your 10% return objective, then how do you navigate? And that is risk management about. So as I told, risk management is about understanding of risk. You have to know when the risk has risen, when the risk is low, when the risk is high. You have to know your risk appetite, how much risk you can take. So say somebody with a huge capital can take a greater amount of risk, Somebody
Yes.
with a less capital can only take as much risk. Plus, somebody who needs cash flows can take less risk. Somebody who doesn't need
Yeah,
the cash
risk
flows can
averse.
wait it
Yeah,
out. So you have to first know yourself. That is the starting
definitely.
point. Know
How
your
much you can take
objectives.
up the
Then
risk? Yeah,
identify risk to the objectives. So risk management is about identifying risk to the objectives, measuring the risk, defining tolerance, understanding your risk appetite, and making sure that whatever risk you take is within that risk appetite and the tolerance limits are not big. So that is the job of a risk manager. You define guidelines and framework within which risk and investment decisions or any decision will be taken. Then you identify risk to those decisions going wrong or the objectives not being met. Then you measure those risks and you define tolerances, and then you identify when the risk is high, when the risk is low, and you manage that those threshold levels to keep the risk within your risk appetite. If you keep doing it day in
mm,
and day out, you will never blow up. You may not reach 10%, but you will at least get 7 or 8, and in a good year you will get 12 or 13 also. On an average you will make 10%. But if you
yes,
take huge risk, sometime you may get minus 50 and sometime you get minus plus 50 also. But that
yeah,
will come with huge volatility, and that business may not be able to withstand.
yeah,
So in the pursuit of your objective, you should not be taking unnecessary undue risk.
definitely. Yeah,
So that is
thank you
what
for
risk
this brief.
management is
Yeah,
about. That too. Yeah, that is what
got
risk
it,
management is all about.
got it. And the next question is, I actually wanted to ask the five, I think, best book that you wanted to recommend in terms of if somebody wants to learn finance and risk management, financial management, financial services. So, what are the five best books that you actually wanted to recommend?
Okay. So finance has actually multiple fields. So I'll give one book in say multiple fields which
Yeah,
you can
definitely will
risk.
work.
I was so risk as I was talking about. There is a book by Bernstein. It is I'm forgetting the name. Risk. I'll share with you the detail later. So it's a
Definitely.
good book on risk if you want to know the history of risk, how it developed and everything. So right from insurance business and everything, how it got.
Yeah,
So I think something related to God, some word is there. I'm forgetting the name. I'll come back to that.
yeah,
In investments, well, I'll recommend two books if you want to become a good
yeah,
investor.
definitely.
One
Yeah,
is one is you must read. Intelligent Investor, which everybody recommends. So because
yeah.
it puts you in that, it gives you that right framework to how to approach investments. Like it tells
Okay.
you, okay, you should not, your outcome should not be worse than what you get in a fixed income. Because many people do not realize that they want to
Yeah.
do investment, but they end up making less than the fixed income return. So fixed deposit return. So it doesn't make sense. So that how to are you an enterprising investor or how to behave rather tackle the markets, how to deal with Mr. Market. So that basic framework is there, which is there. Second book which I will recommend is it is most important things illuminated by Howard Marks, and you must read all his memos. That also gives you good understanding of how you should approach investment. What is more important is not which stock you buy or sell. What is more
Okay.
important is how you approach the investment process. So the first book is about the process, and second about is the thinking and the framework you need to approach the entire investment journey and what all things you need to keep in mind. So these are the two books which are must. Otherwise, if you want to actually want to buy and sell stocks and all, so the best book I would say is One Up on Wall Street by Peter Lynch. That is the only
Okay.
book you
Yeah.
need. Yeah, that is the only book you need. If you follow that, you will do well in your investing career. So he has been the most successful fund manager, and if you just read that book, you will become a very good investor. You don't need more than that. And somebody
Definitely.
who is looking to do the own research, so there is another book that is mm, it's, common stocks and uncommon profits. So that is
Yes,
another
common
book
stocks and
one
common
should.
profit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is another book, but that
Yeah.
requires actual hard work. You have to actually understand the business and
Yeah.
everything. So Peter Lynch method is slightly simpler. But yes, if you are
Definitely.
actually passionate and you want to do the scuttlebutt, you want to talk to supplier, talk to it like customer, do your own research, meet the management and all of that, then you should read that book. These three, four books, if you follow, I think it's more than
Definitely.
sufficient. You don't need anything more than that. Then the coming to core finance. So one book, obviously, matlab, if you want to learn basics of finance, you can pick up any corporate finance book. So that is not much. But one thing, if you actually want to develop good understanding of financial markets and products, so this book by mm, I'm forgetting the name. This one book is on financials, finance in general, which is very relevant for getting the ground knowledge. Is Yeah, rather I will skip this finance part. So, getting good understanding of macroeconomics is very important if you
Macroeconomics, yeah,
want to
definitely.
examine. So, book by Mankiv, Gregory Mankiv is a very good book
Okay,
to get a good understanding of macroeconomics. He is one of the great professors of Harvard, and that
definitely.
book gives you the entire framework you need to understand the overall macroeconomics, how things work, how central banks work, and everything. So that is one book which will give you a good finding of how the overall financial system and markets work.
Yeah,
And corporate finance, I can say Bristol Myers or any book, any corporate finance book you can pick
definitely.
up. And valuation, when I met, if you actually want to learn valuations of equity investments and everything, so valuation by Damodaran is the best. Just
Damodaran,
follow
yeah.
him. He has a structured course.
Yeah,
So then he's the
he's a
best in the
godfather, yeah.
business out
Yeah.
there. Yeah, so he knows what he talks, and if you understand what he
Even the
talks, you
interviews,
will
I
become a
have
good.
seen number of
Yeah,
interviews,
yeah.
and
He keeps
videos he
updating his
runs.
blogs, he
Yeah.
keeps writing blogs, he keeps doing
Yes,
research, he keeps updating, and he has a very structured course on his website. You can do that course on your own without joining a university. So that way
okay,
it's
okay.
sufficient.
There is a
And if
course
you're
as well. Okay,
genuinely
I was not
And
aware.
for risk managers, yeah, yeah, there's an online course you can do it.
Okay,
So he provides PPTs and everything is available there.
definitely. Okay.
Whatever, it's just that the other than the classroom experience, you get everything. So even videos
Yes,
are there, so you can watch the videos. He talks about all the topics. So there is a video on each topic. So you can learn
definitely.
corporate finance as well as valuation from that. And risk, since I practice that, so Taleb is the god in risk. Read all his
Oh
books,
yeah,
Fooled by Randomness, Skin in the Game, or this Black Swan, all of them. So Taleb is
definitely,
another. So if you're genuinely interested in risk and uncertainty, read his books. It
definitely,
will clear a lot
definitely.
of your doubts and cobwebs. And another, since you have asked a couple of books so on psychology side, so we do
Psychology,
not
yeah.
spend too much time on our thinking and how to develop that thinking. So this book by Kahneman, who is a Nobel laureate, so Thinking Fast and Slow, another gem of a book.
Yeah,
So that will make you think your system, one thinking system to how do you do. So it's a great way to think about how to think. So and it
definitely.
makes you conscious of how you take decisions and everything. So that is another book I would recommend people must read that. So there are multiple books out there, and business you
Definitely,
can
I'm going to
go to
add some
any.
of the books in my list
Yeah,
as well. Yeah,
yeah, so you can always go to Goodreads or you go to Amazon, you will find multiple books on any
yeah,
subject. So today searching for books is not such a big deal, but yes,
yeah.
couple of books you must. And as I say, develop a passion for something. And
Yes,
yes, so if you have that passion, you will find the resources in today's world of YouTube, Twitter, and everything. There is no dearth
these
of
resources
resources.
were not available back in
Yeah.
2013, 14, or
Yes. Yes.
before that. Seriously.
Exactly. So much of was not available. You have to search for books. You have to wait for 15, 21 months to get a book. So today you
Yeah,
can order online. And if you have a Kindle, you can start reading instantly. So the life has become much easier. And Google, you get everything. YouTube, you get videos on anything you want to learn. There are experts
definitely.
out there who post content. Twitter, you follow the right handles, you get the knowledge. So I've stopped reading newspapers, watching TV. Twitter is my source of knowledge.
Got
So
it.
news and knowledge both I get from Twitter. So that is how you keep updated. So there are multiple ways to learn. It's not necessarily
Definitely.
books.
And seriously,
And
I
obviously books add that additional dimension.
yes, definitely.
You learn
And
from others. The idea is to
learn
learn
from
from
others.
others. One
Yeah,
is to do it and learn from your mistakes, and one is to learn from
implement
others'
in the
mistakes and
practical
how they.
life and learn from others. Yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
definitely. And seriously, next question I wanted to ask is it's my own personal question. That is how you manage doing all these. Like for example, along with your job, you did CFA, you did FRM. So how you what is the time management, skill you have, what you wanted to tell the people, okay, this must you achieve for better performance. So
So
yeah,
obviously, passion, discipline, and sacrifice. So there, you don't achieve anything without sacrifice. So
sacrifice,
you have to,
definitely.
yeah.
Family
So as I
functions,
told,
this, that.
yeah, exactly. So so weekends I used to study. Weekdays after a job, come back, take bath, sit down, study. So every day in the night and every weekend you have to find time. Obviously, you can't go for outing. Obviously, once in a week or 2 week you can go. But yes, not every you can't party every night. So that day, every weekend
Definitely.
for that matter. Obviously, you have to sacrifice. You have to find time for your studies. If like I even my GMAT I gave along with my job, and even all these courses I did along with the exams, along with the job. So you have to be disciplined. So in the army, when I was there, I used to get up at 5 o'clock, study for 2 3 hours, and then go for my job. So that is how you have to find time. Same even in current job. So if you say evening, you are not
And
able to
people say
concentrate anything, then get up in the
along with the
morning.
job, it's very hard to do these certification or
It is
these kind
hard.
of
It
things.
is. There's no
Yes.
doubt about that. It is hard, and that is right. So I failed in my exams also, as I told. So it's not
Yeah,
easy. So
I
it is a
understand.
struggle. So even if you read once, you don't get enough time to practice, and maybe that is why then you spend, as I told, then you spend more time. So if you're not able to do it in 5 hours, you have to spend 15, and you can't do it in one, then you have to appear for that exam twice to pass it. So that effort will be required, and it is tough.
Yeah.
I was married when I was doing all these courses, so you have a family to handle, you have work
With
pressure. So
such
yes, it is tough,
responsibilities,
and
you are
yeah,
able to do
exactly.
that's
So it is tough,
amazing.
but then as I told, if you are passionate and if you have a purpose in life and you actually want to learn. So again, if you want to pass the exam, then studying may become tough. But if you
Yeah,
actually
true.
want to learn that subject, my focus was on learning that subject more than passing. And once I learned it, obviously I passed the exam also. So
Yeah,
once you
true.
are focused on learning that subject and mastering that subject, you will find time. So
Definitely,
purpose,
definitely.
purpose is required. Purpose-driven
Purpose.
life.
Seriously, it's a wonderful interview with you. I was not aware of, that's why I say I didn't prepare any question. I was like, okay, just go with the flow. Whatever goes in, we will going to talk about. And the best part is that time management, leadership skills that you told, in this video, and that actually will not just will help me because I am going to take the lot of points out of this interview for my own job as well. And the second part is. Learn for read any subject for learning, not just for passing. So that's the another thing that I wanted to take with me, because sometimes we divert from the objective. Okay, passing the exam is not our objective. Objective is learning and passing both. Only getting
If
passed
you
is
learn,
not
you will pass. So one thing, let me assure you, if you
definitely
learn, you will pass. So they're not different.
definitely, but
Learn the
we
subject, you will
divert it.
pass. Yeah.
We get diverted from
Obviously, you have
the
to practice. Obviously,
yeah.
learning, as I told you, first you have to get to a point where given time, you should be able to answer. And then you obviously have to practice to do it in the timed exam scenario. So that
For
requires a
sure.
bit of practice. Yeah.
For sure. And for your final words for the people who are actually going to watch this video in the end, for any topics that you want to talk about, this should be your
So
focus. Yeah.
yeah, so introspect, look within, find your passion,
Yeah.
and then work towards achieving that passion. So don't the passion is not a hobby. Passion is something which drives you.
You
It's the
live.
inner force which, yeah, inner force which will drive you. And if you are genuinely passionate, you will find time. You will do sacrifices. You will do everything it takes, and that is what it is required. So if you want to actually achieve something, if you say हो जाएगा तो अच्छा है, that is not the approach which you करना है.
Yeah.
So people
True.
with a mission, purpose, and passion, they are the ones
True.
who succeed. And
Mission,
the
purpose,
people
and
who change
passion.
the
Yeah.
world are the ones who say think they can.
Yeah.
So if you think
Definitely.
you can't change the world, you will not be able to change the world. The people who have changed the world are the ones who think they can. You listen to Steve Jobs or to Bill Gates or to any of those
Yes.
visionaries. They have changed the world because they thought they could change the world. They thought differently. Jeff Bezos or anybody.
Definitely, definitely. Thank you for your time today, and thank you for all this learning. And seriously, I'm glad that you gave your time today for this interview. And seriously, and this is going to be
My
wonderful.
pleasure. Thanks for the opportunity.
And for all the people who wanted to have a good chat with you, if somehow they wanted to connect with you, they can connect with you directly on LinkedIn. Is that?
Yes, yes, yes. They
Definitely.
can connect on
Yes.
LinkedIn.
I'm going to put the LinkedIn link into the description of Mr. Kumar Gaurav. and you can directly connect with him if you wanted to follow him, his work and everything around. Even wanted to talk about something, you can. So yes, thank you for your time, Kumar. Yeah,
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. All the
thank you.
best.
It
Bye
was a
bye.
great conversation. Bye. Take care.
My pleasure. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.